All right, guys, what is the best self-defense weapon out there? And it's not what you think it is. If you have thought, spoken to somebody about self-defense, searched the web about self-defense, the conversation always goes to weapons. Always. What's the best weapon for self-defense? Well, let's get some obvious things out of the way. Well, I think they're obvious. The best self-defense weapon out there is you. I know it sounds corny, but your ability to fight is the number one most important thing in self-defense. If you can't go hands-on and fight, you're probably going to have a bad day. But even knowing how to fight, it may not be enough. Hear me out. A 75-year-old grandma, she's, let's say, 110 pounds. She's not going to be able to fight off that 6 foot, 220-pound man. It's just not going to happen. At this point, some of you probably are going to your little keyboard in the comments right now, and you're saying, yeah, Sean, what about martial arts is about fighting off the big guy. Yeah, whatever. But understand, there's weight classes in boxing, MMA, judo. I'm not a big guy. I have a difficult time versus the larger people. It's just physics. Grandma's going to need something to level the playing field and give her an advantage. That's when weapons come into play. Weapons are essential for self-defense because you don't have another option. The next best thing grandma can have is a firearm. Hands down. She has the potential to stop a threat with just one finger. She doesn't need lots of training or strength. Obviously, the more training she has, the better her chances are, but it's not really needed. The problem with firearms is that this thing, it's 100% lethal or it's nothing. You hit somebody with it, I guess. There's really no in between. I guess you could say that it's used, that you could use it to deter someone, but it gets really dicey. If I draw a firearm and use it to keep someone at distance, you have to be ready to pull that trigger if they don't comply with you. And that's a big deal. Most of you guys are like, well, that's an easy answer, but it's really not. There's a lot to think about when carrying a firearm for self-defense. And most of you don't think about it. The next best option is, well, a knife, right? A knife is the next best option, all right? You could have a self-defense knife like I just had. You could have a pocket knife. Similar to a gun, it has the potential to stop a threat without a whole bunch of training. Grandma would need more training than, using the gun, but it's still very possible that she can defend herself with a knife. I can explain this by giving you a scenario. Here we go. Let's say you're standing across from, this, 4 foot, 10-year-old girl. Do you think you can beat her up? It's okay. You can say you can beat up a little girl. It's okay. Okay, now put that knife in her hand. What are your chances of beating her up now? More importantly, what's your desire to try to beat her up? Well, you probably shouldn't have a desire to beat up a little girl anyway, but understand my point. Firearms and knives are lethal options. I believe that a self-defense weapon needs to have the ability to be lethal. Here's my case. Grandma needs it. Using a non-lethal weapon like a stun gun or pepper spray, it's not going to help grandma. She can't run away or fight off the attacker like a younger, more fit person. Sorry, grandma, but it's just true. Now, for whatever reason, you may not be able to carry a gun or a knife, or maybe you just don't want to. That's your decision. I'm not judging that. Even some jurisdictions don't allow it. This leads us to the next big concept, and that the best tool is one that, you have with you all the time. And more importantly, that you can get to when you need it. If you can't get to your weapon, you can't get it into the fight, then it's worthless. Or even worse, that the bad guy takes it away from you and uses it against you. With all of this being said, let's get on to, well, the best self-defense tool, but the one that's not either you or a firearm or a knife, the non-lethal options. You can stop a threat in one of three ways. The first way is to render that person unconscious, put him to sleep, or, well, dead. The second way is to make the threat not physically capable of getting to you. Like a barrier, or, you break their leg and then they can't walk, that sort of thing. And then the third way is their will to fight. Make the threat not want to attack you. A firearm and a knife, well, they can do all of these. But when we start talking about non-lethal options, well, it becomes more problematic. When talking about non-lethal self-defense tools, this taser becomes, it often comes up, right? Well, why? Well, it's everywhere. Police officers use it. You see it in movies all the time. And there's really two types of tasers. Well, they're actually stun guns. Taser is the brand that we think of first, right? It's like Kleenex with tissues. You get my point. There are two main types of stun guns. The ones that can reach out and touch you, and the ones that you have to touch them. They have an electrical charge, and then you touch the person with it, and then the person does this and then falls down, right? No, it doesn't work that way. You have to keep touching the person with this. Understand that when you touch a person with this, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to react. They're going to jump back. They're not just going to stand there and take it, okay? Probably not. It's like a hot stove, You put your hand on the hot stove. What happens? You pull that hand back, right? Same thing with a stun gun. Somebody touches you with that stun gun, you react. You have to be able to control that person to be strong enough, capable enough, have enough training to be able to control that person and put that stun gun on them. Now, going back to those police tasers, they can stop a threat in all the three ways that we just said before. Stun guns can't. The regular ones can't that you can buy. They may be able to stop the willingness of the attacker, but that's it. Movies has fantasized stun guns and tasers as most things, but it never happens the way that it does in the movies with these stun guns. They don't just fall down and then seize up. The next self-defense tool is pepper spray. Pepper spray usually comes in some sort of bottle like this. You press this button, and then it sprays a mist of some peppery liquid or gel out towards its target. Technically speaking, I have no issues with using these tools for self-defense. But reality can be a quite different story. Meaning, when someone brings up that they have a stun gun or pepper spray for self-defense, and I go, well, hey, can I see it? Can I see which one you have? Just for curiosity's sake. Almost without fail, they say, oh, well, it's in the car. It's at home. It's in my other purse. All those things. It's never on them. It's never where they can get to it. And that's a problem. Talking about before, you have to be able to get to the weapon when you need it. The second problem is that they've never used it before. They have no idea what it feels like or what it can do. Even if you don't spray yourself with the pepper spray or stun yourself with the stun gun, at least you need to spray it against the wall or something to see how far it goes, if it's a gel or a mist, that sort of thing. At least do that. Most people don't even do that. These things right here, they're horrible. How many times have you heard a car alarm go off and no one even looks anymore? Sure, it can be beneficial to get someone's attention, but that means that someone has to care enough to come to your rescue. I think these things are a waste of time. You just pull these and then it's supposed to do something. Self-defense keychains are next. They're one of my least favorite too. Yes, that includes a Kubotan, for those Kubotan fanatics out there. Now the Kubotan is, the best of the worst keychain self-defense tool, but you still have to train with it. And you're not gonna do that. These things right here, they're the worst. These are given to people and you're supposed to be able to, it's horrible. You can put your key in between your fist here and then rake at someone and pump. Have you ever hit something with a key in your hand like this? Now, finally, I want to get to the best self-defense tool that you can have that's, non-lethal, and that is the flashlight. It's the number one reason that I believe this is the best self-defense tool out there, is because, well, you can use it for something other than self-defense. If you need a flashlight, you can use it, okay? I use flashlights all the time. I got a quick story. My brother, we were doing something and he's looking around, he's like, man, I need a flashlight. So I pull it out of my pocket and I'm like, here. And he's like, you got a flashlight in your pocket? I was like, yeah, I always keep a flashlight in my pocket. And he's like, why do you need a flashlight? I was like, well, for this, you needed a flashlight. I got your flashlight. Sometimes you just need a flashlight. It can double for, well, normal stuff as well as for self-defense. You can also use it to hit with. This one's just from Walmart. I like the ones that have a push button on the back end so I can keep it in my fist here, push the light here, this push button here. And I also like it that it has a little bit more extension out from my hand here to where if I do hit somebody with it, it's gonna do more damage than just my fist. Coming back around, the best self-defense tool that you can use is one that you actually have on you. What do you think the best self-defense weapon is? And what's your go-to? What do you carry on you? It's maybe not the best, but it's something that you can keep on you at all times. Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't, please subscribe to the channel, like it, share it with your friends. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much.